We start with our Newsmaker segment and take a look at some of the critical issues facing Kansas City, Missouri, and therefore the Kansas City, Missouri City Council. Joining me is Councilman Dan Fowler from the 2nd District north of the river. He's a practicing attorney elected to his first council term in 2015. Councilman Fowler is a strong supporter of a new one-terminal KCI. Councilman, welcome to Ruckus. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
A couple of quick questions before we get to KCI. Is this the first elected office you've served in?
Yes, it is.
Is it everything you thought it would be, or has it surprised you some?
Oh, I think I've not been necessarily surprised. It's pretty much what I had expected. I think certainly there are more challenges than perhaps anybody could anticipate when they first get elected, but it's been a great experience so far.
All right, we've been talking about Ruckus, or about KCI on Ruckus for at least 4 or 5 years, and we've had dozens of different panelists on the program discussing KCI and what should happen there. And there's one conclusion: people are divided about what to do and what should be done. Do you find that to be the case with people in your district and others that you talk to?
Yes, I think that's accurate. And you introduced me as being a strong supporter. I was not always that way. When I first got elected, I was very torn about whether we should try to rehab what we already have or try to build something new. But when the facts come out and you understand more and more about it, then you come to one conclusion, and that is we need a new airport. We need a new single terminal.
People who don't seem to want the new terminal talk about the convenience that the current airport provides. Is that what you hear people talk about when they say, oh, no, I don't want a new airport, ours is really convenient?
For the most part, yes. I continue to hear people say, well, we don't want to pay for a new airport, and that is a very serious misconception. The voters and the taxpayers don't pay for a new airport. City taxpayers don't. It's funded by the airlines and by airport revenue. But yes, I still hear, but it's so easy to pull up and just let somebody off and then pick them up later. And I think what people need to understand is that convenience means different things to different people.
Is it possible a new airport would be equally convenient?
In some respects, yes, it would. I think if one were to pull up to a new airport, as the concepts that I have seen show, and to park, it would be much more convenient than what we already have.
Do you support the idea of a one-terminal airport financed, designed, and built by a private company, or do you want airport bonds in the usual way of the city financing new construction?
I want whatever will be the best optimum solution for what we have. That may be public revenue bonds that are financed by airport revenues, or it may be private financing that in turn is financed by airport revenues. I think we need to line up what the pros and cons of both concepts are and make our decision based on that.
You haven't made a decision yet in your mind?
No, I haven't.
We have at least one local company that came forward with the idea of private financing. There are others now coming forward locally and from across the country. Should a local contractor, a local builder get first preference?
I would certainly like to see as much of our local talent used as possible. And that would include not only the designers and the financiers, but also, most importantly, the laborers and the people who actually do the work.
Well, what about the fact that Burns and McDonnell, that originated this concept, now have added J.E. Dunn and Miguel Gordon to the team? Is that going to make a big difference?
I think it will. I think it definitely moves things in their favor, because those are two very reputable, very sound contractors.
So what's going to happen now? You think the council sometime in the near future is going to approve one of these ideas, one of these proposals, and say, let's move forward with a November vote?
I would, yes, in one form or another, I would predict that. We have to decide on ballot language by August 24, and what we decide as far as the best proposal that is put forward to us, I think will dictate some of what that ballot language is.
All right, let's say it goes on the ballot and voters say no. What happens then?
Well, basically we have what we have now. There is no current plan B. If the voters say no, then I do not see us going to either a rehab or a a new terminal at any time in the near future.
What about the Downtown Convention Hotel? Is it ready to go? I know the Citizens for Responsible Government group has put together a petition drive, gotten enough signatures that typically it would qualify to go on the ballot. Will it go on the ballot?
I think what we will do is repeal the ordinance that they have filed their petitions on. But as far as any further council action beyond that, there is none for the council to take. We've done everything that we were contractually
It won't be on the ballot.
I don't believe so.
All right.
No.
Thank you very much for coming in. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you for having me. Enjoyed it.
That is Kansas City, Missouri City Councilman Dan Fowler of the 2nd District. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus.